What's up? It's Robert from Existence First, Mental Training for a Modern World. I have my book here, The Stranger. This is actually my favorite book of all time. And today's video is going to be about death. It's going to be the beginning of a series of videos. This is part one, where I will talk about my journey in making peace with death. My journey began with this book in senior year of high school. I read this book in English class, and I think that it clicked for me more than it did for any other person in the classroom. But for those of you who are not familiar with this, it is a very famous novel belonging to the philosophy of existentialism, and the author is Albert Camus. You probably have heard the name Jean-Paul Sartre in relation to existentialism, but he wrote other books. Camus was the other big existentialist philosopher. So if you plan to read the book and you want to be excited about not knowing how it ends, then don't watch this video, go watch another one of my videos. But if you don't care and you're open to hearing the plot line, then here we go. The book basically is about this guy who, in some sort of a quirky situation on the beach in the sun, something catches his eye. He sees this Arab with a knife, and he just impulsively sort of shoots the Arab, and it ends up killing the Arab. So then the main character is put on trial, sentenced to death, and in the end is awaiting his execution. And so the story is about how he has to make sense of what's going on, that he's about to come to the end of his life as he knows it, and he needs to sort of make sense of this. So at the end of the book, he says, "As if that blind rage had washed me clean, rid me of hope. For the first time in that night, alive with the signs and stars, I opened myself to the gentle indifference of the world. Finding it so much like myself, like a brother really, I felt that I had been happy and that I was happy again. For everything to be consummated, for me to feel less alone, I had only to wish that there be a large crowd of spectators the day of my execution, and that they greet me with cries of hate." Kind of dark, a little bit dark, I'll admit, but there's some value here. There's some value here for sure. So the first major line is, "I opened myself to the gentle indifference of the world." And the fact that we as human beings are going to die really shows that indifference of the world. The fact that coronavirus has overrun this planet shows the world's indifference, the indifference of the world towards us human beings. In other words, there's no one watching out, no one responsible for the world, sort of apologizing, "Oh, sorry human beings, sorry about this coronavirus." Like, some people do believe in God, and so they believe that God does play a role in this coronavirus thing somehow, some way. But typically existentialism is presented as an atheist philosophy. So it's this idea that you will pass from this earth, and the earth is kind of indifferent, right? It's floods, fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, they all happen, and it's like it's just this indifference towards our well-being, and that's really at the truth of it, I think. And so the contrast, of course, is the interesting line is that he's hoping that on the day of his execution, the crowd is just he says, "I wish there to be a large crowd of spectators, and that they greet me with cries of hate." And why? Well, my interpretation of that is that The only way that you do have caring is from human beings. The world might be indifferent to your suffering. The world might be indifferent to your life, but human beings are not. So the world might be indifferent towards any one person passing away, but when someone passes away, that it's not inconsequential to the people around them. It does matter to the people around them. And so human beings and humankind, that is the only way that we kind of give meaning in a meaningless world. So again, that was my first exposure in the journey. It was 10 years later, when I was 27, that my best friend died, and that was the first real wake-up call. So that I will discuss in the next video.